Welcome to another episode of the Recovery Edge podcast. My name is Alfredo and I'm an alcoholic. And I'm joined by my wifey, Kayla.
And I'm an alcoholic.
How are you, Kayla?
Yeah, I feel like we've had a hard week, but I'm doing good today.
Good.
How
good.
are you?
I'm good. Nice to be back. We are doing a check-in meeting, really. Just me and my wifey,
Yeah.
co-host. Thought we would just get on this episode and talk about our week in recovery.
Yes.
It's been a pretty tough week.
Mm-hmm.
I guess things are always happening in the recovery world for us. Well, I mean, we just know we're just in the mix of, people who are in recovery and, either sober or struggling. And that makes for a pretty interesting life. And then what we have going on ourselves.
Yeah. And I think that I thought that when I got sober, things would be easier or life would just be better and it would just be puppies and rainbows and balloons. And then, sometimes hard things happen in sobriety. And I just don't think that we can, ask our guests to come on and be open and honest if we don't be open and honest and share our struggles. And we had a big week, so Let's get into it.
So you had a dream crusher of an event, you could say.
Well, on Tuesday I got a phone call from the doctor, and we had been starting the process for IVF to have a baby. And to have a baby and build a family has been a dream of mine. It was a major contributing factor to me getting sober and cleaning up my life, and just didn't want to bring a child into such chaos. And in sobriety, when things got hard and I didn't want to go on like that dream of I just have to keep pushing forward so that I can provide a good life for my kid, brought me pretty far. So on Tuesday when I got this phone call from the doctor, and the doctor said that I cannot have biological children, really my hopes and dreams were crushed. And in that same phone call, the doctor said that I am going into a perimenopause state quite early due to I have a lung illness called cystic fibrosis, and that illness is causing me to go into perimenopause early. They think they're not sure, but they think that's what the cause of it is. And so they can tell this from some blood work they had done. And along with that blood work, some numbers were quite high, and they believe that I have a tumor in my brain on the pituitary gland. And that is a lot to hear in one phone call. And I was by myself at my uncle's house. Well, my uncle was there, but he was sleeping in the other room. I was by myself on telehealth during this phone call or Zoom call or whatever. And I just immediately was in such shock, because I think when you think that you're going to get, sober in your 30s and clean up your life, and then you get married and naturally you want to start having kids and build a family, it's quite hard to hear that you cannot do that. And I just went into shock and started sobbing uncontrollably, and went downstairs, and I couldn't wake my uncle. I didn't want to physically wake him because he has a heart monitor, so I'm always scared of giving Uncle Daryl a heart attack, but I really thought that I was going to drink, and I just decided it wasn't good for me to be, in that place, in that house, and that I should probably just come home. And on that drive home, I just the loss and devastation and sadness that overcame me felt more than I could handle, and I all I wanted was for it to stop. To feel your feelings in sobriety can be quite overwhelming at times. And honestly, I probably would have done whatever drug or shot or drink was in front of me if I, could have got my hands on it. But by the grace of God, I, thought through the drink, and I couldn't bear the thought of coming home and you finding me drunk, just especially after we're newly married and we're getting ready to move into the new house. And so the car drove itself home that day, and I just went to our bedroom and laid on the bed and sobbed till you got home. And I would say that there was probably a 24, 48 hour window where I didn't have a real strong will to live anymore. There was quite this, I just felt like I was rocked from my foundation, and my hopes and dreams were gone. And being in a hopeless state is not great for this alcoholic. So luckily, we brought me to meetings. I talked to my sponsor. I really had to dig into the program this week.
Yeah, because this was almost like, how do I put this? It was the main goal in your life. So the reason that you were getting sober, almost just sober, school, doing everything right, because you wanted to have a family one day and you were setting the table for that. And then when you found out that physically it may not be possible according to the doctor, it crushed your heart, and I sat there with you for a couple days, and you were sad. I didn't sit with you for a couple days,
Yeah.
but I lived with you. So I saw your attitude change and your will to do much like that, like go to the gym or have fun and laugh. It was tough. You talked to your sponsor and she kind of helped you out, I think, a lot. And, we had that small period of mourning or something. But then, you said that you were told you could find another dream, that it would come. I believe that. And, we have other avenues to explore now for our family. So it's not the end, And I think that, it's not the end until it's the end. And, we have a lot of advice from people and doctors. They have their diagnosis, but in the end, it's really what God wants to author for us will happen. And I'm looking forward to it, no matter how that looks. Anything that I've ever got that's great, like you, never happened the way I imagined, in our life together. And just my life in general now. I couldn't have authored it the way, if it happened the way I wanted, I don't know. I don't think that would have been possible. So sometimes we get things that are, I think that I've gotten things that are out of my league almost, not because of who I am, but because I rely on God for for my life, I try to keep it God-centered. Anyways, I don't want to go too off the beaten path here, but I'm just saying that sometimes things happen and they're not the way that we envisioned them, the way that we wrote it. So that was a tough week, but then we went to Estes Park and saw the leaves, and things the sun started to come out again, as it always does, you know. Um, and today we're just back busy doing life stuff and moving. We have another house to move into, so we're packing and getting all of our crazy things, well, most of our stuff, my stuff, into the new home. And so things are kind of crazy, but we're getting back on a schedule, and we found a new meeting in Berthoud.
Yes.
And that was a cool meeting, a Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
Some old faces and new faces there, familiar faces. And I thought that did a lot of good for us. It's
I
nice to have
think
that
it's like
option.
really interesting how this week played out, because it was I was so grateful to the amount of work that we have done in the program. We were able to lean into the program more and go to different meetings, like go to the meetings that we had been going and seeing, our support system, our people. Um, and then a lot of anybody that knows me knows that I love kids so much. So, when I did talk to my friends or my sponsor about it, they would tell me over and over, like, we just don't have any words to tell you. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And eventually that my sponsor had said, like, a new dream will come. Like, God hasn't brought you this far to drop you now. And so we were able to have that community around us. The recovery community is so welcoming and loving and supporting. And the world did not stop revolving because my hopes and dreams were shattered. But like, were they really, or was it just my attachment to like how I thought it should look? The doctors come and said, like, you could get an egg donor, or you could, and then I could still carry the baby myself, or you can adopt, or it may look different, but not all hope is lost. And I think that through this week, when I look back, I had to grieve about like this hope or dream that I had like died. And I feel like forever my family tree will be altered because of that phone call, and a little piece of myself died, and I had to grieve through that. But moving forward and working through that grief, and along the lines of what you were saying with God's plan, like, maybe it wasn't God's plan for me to have a biological child, and that my pain and suffering is directly linked to my attachment to how I think things should go. And it's His will, not mine, and I have to let that go and accept it for what the situation is. And I just feel like some of that healing, or the best way that I can do some of that, is to share this story and be honest and open, and more shall be revealed. So yeah, we had a good little weekend and reconnected, and this week we move into the new house, a new chapter of our life, and it's just in God's timing, God's plan of everything unfolding. Certainly not my timing or my plan. So that was my hard lesson for this week. But
And I was worried that you started to feel like, well, what good is this guy for now, you know? You know, what did I get married for? Along with what did I get sober for? What am I going to school for? What is all this for?
Yeah,
And
I
I
think
wondered about that.
I think that those questions, you know, when this idea or dream, you made it your foundation, and it's brought you so far. Those questions, you know, crossed my mind too, and just really made me like question sobriety, right? Because when that hope is gone, and it could be anything for someone, like maybe
Hmm.
somebody is out there and got like sober so that girl would come back, or so they can get their kids back, and maybe the courts like decide they still don't get their kids, or you know, whatever that hope or dream is, you know, it's not guaranteed to us in sobriety, just because you could do everything right and still not get that hope and dream. And so it's really what is like left if that is taken away. And you know, a really hard lesson for me was that I built my foundation on that, and not on my spiritual life, and not on God. And I had to really question those things. But I do believe that it was more that God brought us together. There's very like weird things of, you know, whether somebody says the stars just aligned for us to be together or whatever. I do feel like God brought us together and wants us to, that you're my soulmate. And so, and yes, I think you'll be a good father, but more than that, like, you're my soulmate. And whether we have kids or not, or whether our family tree looks different than how I thought, whatever that looks like, I know I'm supposed to be with you. And so, and I know that sobriety is the way of life that we share and that I have to do. You know, drinking's not an option, drugs aren't an option. So now I have to feel my life, and I need to rebuild my foundation on a spiritual foundation, which obviously I don't know how to do, or I would have done that in the beginning. So I lean into the program and learn from others.
Well, I married you for you. You know that I told you that since the beginning, not for a kid. Or I said whatever happens, happens, and I'll be here no matter what our family looks like. Speaking of marriage and all that, we've been learning about marriage together. And I mean, that sounds weird to say, but for me, I didn't really have anybody sit down with me and talk to me about marriage as a kid. Um, I just saw my family members and how they dealt with marriage and just thought, oh, I never want to get married because they're all divorced or whatever. And the closest thing I saw to how a marriage should be was my own parents. But over the last couple of weeks, we've been studying about marriage or talking about it at church. And like I'm learning about what my role is here on the fly. And it's very interesting and eye-opening. And I look forward to, well, I mean, I'm in it now, but taking that role, you know, of being your protector, provider, and just being that, trying to be that spokesperson for God, you know, in our family. Nobody sat down and told me that's what marriage was about
Me
as a
neither.
kid. And here we are. I'd say right off the bat, we started moving really fast. Life happened to us really fast.
Yeah.
But we're fast movers. We're always into something. And it's exciting to be on this journey with you because it's already an exciting journey.
Yeah.
And, but I have no doubt that we'll get through it. You know, the good times, bad times, challenging times. My sponsor said he doesn't pray for those times to go away, right? You said it
Right.
good.
I just love him. He's amazing. But he said, I don't pray for my hard times to go away. I pray for God to help me man up through the hard times. And so, I mean, when he said that in the meeting the other night, I just felt that to my very core. And just, I wanted that pain and that sorrow to go away so bad, so bad. I would have done anything. And so when he said that, I just knew that that's what God needed me to hear. So I'm not really sure what the female version of that is. So if you're listening to this and you know the female version of
Man
asking
up.
God to help you man up, please write it into us and let me know, because it feels weird to ask God to help me man up when I'm dealing with some fertility, womanly issue. But I get the point of what the saying, like what God needed me to hear. So
Well, I think that was a real powerful check-in for us, and I'm just floored with the amount of support that we get from a couple people in our meetings and those who know us. And what more can you ask for? Just the love of our AA fam and our family and all that stuff. And that'll be a wrap for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, we're just sitting here touching base with each other, and we'll be doing this again. Why not? And that'll be it. So check out our podcast at recoveryedgepodcast.com. You can find our link to our YouTube page. Also, there's if you'd like to help support the show, there's a donate button on our website. Buy us a coffee, hit the little coffee link. But we'll just keep at it. Thanks for listening.
yeah, thank you.